I want you to picture something for a second. You're lying in bed, it's maybe 11:30 p.m., and you're doing the doom scroll. TikTok, Instagram Reels, whatever your poison is.
Oh, yeah, the trance state.
You're in that trance state, and suddenly the algorithm serves you up something different. It's not a dance trend, it's not a recipe for feta pasta, it's a spinning geometric shape.
I know exactly the side of the internet you've wandered into.
Right. It looks like a donut made of neon light, technically a torus, if we're being precise, and there's this ominous, synth-heavy Hans Zimmer-style music playing in the background.
You found cosmic geometry TikTok.
Exactly. And the voiceover is deep, authoritative, almost hypnotic. It says, if you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe.
And then the cut to Tesla.
Always.
Always. It cuts to a picture of Nikola Tesla looking intense, surrounded by lightning. And the claim is just massive. It's not saying, hey, here's a cool math trick. It's saying, this is the source code of reality. Yeah, the idea is that these three numbers, 3, 6, and 9, are the blueprint for everything. DNA, the pyramids, the frequency of the sun, the stock market, you name it.
It's the ultimate conspiracy, in a way. So today, I am fully embracing my inner pattern seeker. I want to believe there is a secret code. I want to see how the pyramids link to quantum physics. But I know your role here.
My role is to be the buzzkill.
No, well, maybe a little. Your role is to be the scientific skeptic, to look at that excitement and ask, is it true? Or perhaps more importantly, does it work the way the internet says it works?
That's a fair description. My job today is to distinguish between internet mythology and real physics. And I want to be clear right off the bat, our mission isn't just to say that's fake and move on.
Oh, good, because that would be a very short deep dive.
And a boring one. The fascinating thing is that even when the memes are wrong, the math underneath them is often real. It's just misinterpreted. Yeah. And honestly, the places where 3, 6, and 9 actually appear in nature, in our biology, in our power grids, in the geometry of the universe, are way more interesting than the mystical version.
That is a bold claim. You think the engineering reality is cooler than the magic spell?
I do. And by the end of this, I think you will too.
Challenge accepted. So, we have a map for this deep dive. We're going to look at Tesla man versus Tesla the meme. We're going to get into vortex mathematics, which involves doing some actual math. So get your mental scratch pads ready.
We'll keep it painless, I promise.
And then we were going to pivot to the real science. Why DNA uses 3s, why bees use 6s, and why the number 9 might just be a history lesson in disguise. But let's start with the legend, the man himself, Nikola Tesla.
The patron saint of the internet.
He really is. If your accountant told you that the numbers 3, 6, and 9 were a magical portal, you'd fire him. You'd think he lost his mind.
You'd be looking for a new accountant for sure.
But when Nikola Tesla says it, you lean in. Why does his name carry so much weight in this specific conversation?
We have to establish his bona fides because they are staggering. This isn't a guy who just tinkered in his garage. He effectively invented the 20th century.
Give us the highlight reel. I mean, most people know the name, but maybe not the full resume.
Okay, well, the big one is the alternating current electricity supply system, AC. Before Tesla, we had Edison and direct current, DC.
Which is what's in a battery.
Exactly. DC is great for batteries, but it's terrible for sending power over long distances. You need a power plant every mile. Tesla figured out AC, which allowed us to transmit power across continents. That is the reason we can turn on the lights in this room right now.
He won the war of currents.
Handily. And he had over 300 patents. He pioneered radio technology before Marconi, the Supreme Court, actually retroactively credited Tesla with the invention of radio.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. He also experimented with X-rays. He built the first remote-controlled boat. The man was living in the future. So when a mind like that speaks, you listen.
But he wasn't just smart, right? He was different. I think that adds to the mystique. He had these intense eccentricities that make people think maybe he was seeing things we can't see.
That's true. And this is where the biography gets a little tragic, actually. Tesla had what we would today diagnose as very severe obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD. But in the late 1800s and early 1900s, that diagnosis didn't exist. It was just seen as the quirks of a genius.
Okay, so let's get into some of those quirks. I've heard about the walking thing. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. He would often feel compelled to walk around a city block 3 times before he could enter a building.
3 times. There's our number.
There it is. And it wasn't a choice, it was a compulsion. If he started and got interrupted or lost count, he might have to start over. It was a ritual he had to complete to relieve a kind of a mental anxiety.
And the hotel rooms, that's another famous one.
He lived in hotels for a large part of his life, most famously the Hotel New Yorker. He would specifically request room numbers that were divisible by 3. He often stayed in room 3327 on the 33rd floor.
Wait, let me do the math. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 7 is 15, and 1 plus 5 is 6. Okay, so it's divisible by 3.
You're getting good at this, yes. But it went even deeper. When he ate dinner, he had a very specific ritual involving napkins.
Napkins.
He had to have exactly 18 napkins.
18. Why 18?
Well, 18 is divisible by 3, 6, and 9.
Ah, of course. The whole set.
He would use them to wipe down his cutlery, polishing each piece until it sparkled. He was germophobic, which often goes hand in hand with OCD, but the number of napkins was the crucial part. He also had a habit of calculating the cubic contents of his food before he could eat it.
He was doing volume calculus on his soup.
Essentially, yes. If he couldn't visualize the cubic volume of the soup or the bread, he said he couldn't enjoy the meal. So you have this picture of a man who is undeniably a brilliant engineer, but whose mind is locked into these numerical patterns.
Right, and it's easy to see why people look at those behaviors today and think he wasn't just OCD, he was tuning into a frequency the rest of us are deaf to.
It frames it as a superpower, not a disorder.
Exactly. It feels like a ritual for accessing higher knowledge. Like if I use 18 napkins, maybe I'll invent the next internet. So that brings us back to the quote. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. You're the researcher here. When did he say this? Was it in his Nobel Prize speech, a paper on electricity?
Here is where we have to conduct a bit of a historical fact check. And I'm warning you, this might break some hearts.
Oh no, don't tell me he didn't say it. My whole TikTok feed is a lie.
We have looked. Historians have looked. The curators at the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, who hold his personal estate, thousands of letters, diaries, technical notes, they have looked. And the verdict is, that specific phrase does not appear in any of his writings.
Seriously, it's on millions of t-shirts and motivational posters.
It is likely a modern invention. We see it popping up in the post-2000s, mostly in New Age literature and internet forums. And then it just got attributed to him because it sounds like something he might say.
It gives the quote credibility.
Exactly. You attach it to the genius with the OCD for numbers, and it suddenly sounds plausible. It's a very effective meme.
So it's the Luke, I am your father of science quotes. He never actually said it.
Precisely. Or Einstein's insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. He never said that either.
My whole life is a lie.
Now, hold on. Does that mean he didn't care about those numbers? No. We know he was obsessed with 3, as we just discussed. We know he valued 6 and 9 as multiples. But the idea of a 369 universal theory that explains galaxies and DNA, that is a modern remix, not a Tesla original.
Okay, so the quote might be a myth, but the idea has taken on a life of its own, and the main engine driving this today is something called vortex mathematics. This is the stuff that blew my mind when I first saw the diagrams.
Right. This is largely popularized by a researcher named Marco Rodin and later by Randy Powell. They claim to have found a mathematical fingerprint of God, essentially.
A bold claim.
A very bold claim.
Yeah. So for the listener who hasn't spent 3 hours watching animations of spinning torsos on YouTube, let me try to paint the picture. It all starts with a circle, and around this circle you have the numbers 1 through 9 spaced out like a clock, but with only 9 hours.
Standard decimal system layout. Got it.
Correct. Now, the argument is that there is a flow to the universe, and you can see it if you follow the doubling sequence. This is just powers of 2. Nature likes to double things. Cells divide. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4.
Still with you. Simple enough.
So let's trace the line on our mental circle. Start at 1. Double it, you get 2. Draw a line from 1 to 2.
Okay.
Double 2, you get 4. Draw a line to 4. Double 4, you get 8. Line to 8.
Okay. 1, 2, 4, 8. Nice little zigzag.
Now here's the trick. Double 8, you get 16. But in vortex math, we don't like double digits. We want the digital root. We want the essence of the number, so we add the 1 and the 6 together.
Right. 1 plus 6 equals 7. So we draw a line from 8 to 7.
Exactly. Now double 16, you get 32. What's the digital root?
3 plus 2 is 5. So we go from 7 to 5.
Perfect. Now double 32, you get 64. 6 plus 4 is 10. And 1 plus 0 is
1. You're back where you started.
Boom. We are back at the start. So the pattern creates this infinity symbol shape inside the circle. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. And then it repeats. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. Over and over.
And this is where the pattern seeker gets excited. The aha moment.
Yes, because look at what is missing. We hit almost every number, but we completely skipped 3, 6, and 9. They are nowhere in that doubling sequence. They are like ghosts. They're invisible to the structure of the material world.
And that separation is the core of the argument, right? That they're on a different plane of existence or something.
Exactly. The claim is that 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 represents the physical world, the third dimension, and 3, 6, and 9 represent a flux field or a higher dimension. A vector from the fourth dimension that governs the lower numbers, because if you look at their pattern, it's different.
Okay, walk us through the ghost numbers.
Start with 3.
Yeah.
Double it, you get 6. Easy. Double 6, you get 12. Digital root.
1 + 2 is 3.
You're back to 3. It oscillates back and forth. 3, 6, 3, 6. It's like a pendulum swinging. It never touches the other numbers. It's in his own little loop.
And the 9. What does the boss do?
The 9 is the boss. The 9 is the singularity. Double 9, you get 18. 1 + 8 is 9. Double 18 is 36. 3 + 6 is 9. Double anything with the digital root of 9, and you always get 9 back. The 9 never changes. It's the axis upon which the universe spins.
So the theory is, the physical world is the 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 loop, and the 3, 6, 9 is the energy, the vibration, the control system.
You got it. That's the whole pitch.
I have to admit, it is a very, very seductive narrative. I mean, when you look at it on paper, it looks magical. The separation of the numbers seems impossible to be a coincidence. It feels like we just peered under the hood of reality.
Right. I remember seeing this and thinking, okay, physics is broken. This is the real deal. But I see you making notes over there, and I know that face. That's the I'm about to ruin the magic trick with math face.
I wouldn't say ruin, I would say explain. Because what you just described is absolutely a real pattern. The math you did is correct. If you double numbers and take their digital roots in our system, that is exactly what happens.
But
the conclusion that this proves a mystical dimension is where we run into trouble.
okay, let's unpack this. Why does it happen if it's not magic?
It happens because we have 10 fingers.
Come again, we have 10 fingers.
That is literally the only reason. We use a base 10 counting system, decimal, 0 through 9. The patterns you see, the digital roots, the way the numbers reduce, the fact that 3, 6, and 9 are excluded, are artifacts of that specific grammar.
Artifacts.
They are not fundamental laws of the universe. They are fundamental rules of how we count the universe.
Explain that. What do you mean artifacts of the grammar?
Think of it like a rhyme in a poem. If I say cat rhymes with bat, that's true in English. It's a pattern. But if I translate those words into Spanish, gato and murciélago, they don't rhyme at all.
Right. Gato and murciélago definitely do not rhyme.
The pattern exists only in the language, not in the animals themselves. The cat and the bat didn't change. The language did. This math is the same. It's a rhyme that exists in base 10.
Okay, that's a really good analogy. So you're saying if we counted differently, the 369 magic would vanish.
Poof. Gone. Exactly. Let's do a thought experiment.
Yeah.
This is the part that usually gets left out of the viral videos because it requires a bit of mental gymnastics. But I think the listener can handle it.
I think so too. Let's do it.
Imagine we are a species of aliens, or maybe cartoon characters, and we only have 12 fingers.
12 fingers. Okay. So we'd count differently.
We'd use base 12 or do a decimal. Mathematicians actually love base 12. It's actually a superior system to base 10 because 12 is easier to divide. You can divide 12 by 2, 3, 4, and 6. You can only divide 10 by 2 and 5.
Okay, so it's more flexible for doing fractions, I think.
Way more flexible.
Yeah.
So how do we count in base 12? You have digits 0 through 9, just like us. But then you need a single digit for 10 and a single digit for 11. Let's call them A and B.
So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, and then the next number is 1, 0.
Right. And 10 in base 12 means 1 dozen, 112, and 0 ones.
This makes my brain hurt slightly, but I'm with you.
Stick with me. Now, if you run that same doubling sequence, the one that created the magical 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 pattern in base 12, the pattern completely changes. The rhyme is gone. Let's look at the number 3, for example. In our system, it was a ghost.
Well, it was separate, part of the special club.
But in base 12, the pattern scrambles. The clean separation between the physical numbers and the 3, 6, 9 numbers dissolves. The 3, 6, and 9 get mixed into the main sequence just like everything else.
So the ghost numbers aren't ghosts anymore. They just show up to the party.
They're just numbers. They lose their special status. Dr. James Grime, a mathematician from Cambridge who I really respect on this, puts it well. He says these patterns are recreational math. They are fun, they are neat puzzles, but they don't tell you about the structure of space-time. They tell you about the structure of base 10 arithmetic.
That is sobering. It's like finding out the face on Mars is just a trick of the light and shadows.
It is. And it's important because there are real consequences to this belief. We need to address the free energy claims often attached to this.
Oh, right. The Rodin coil.
You'll see people building Rodin coils, these donut-shaped copper coils, wound in that specific star pattern from the diagram. They claim it creates perpetual motion or taps into zero-point energy because of the 369 flow.
Yeah, I've seen videos of fans spinning seemingly forever, powered by one of these things.
But when you test them in a controlled lab, adhering to the laws of thermodynamics, they function exactly like normal magnetic coils. They are efficient, sure, because the geometry is clever, but they don't produce more energy than you put in. There's no free lunch in physics, unfortunately.
So no breaking the laws of thermodynamics today.
Not today. If there were, General Electric or Tesla, the car company, would have patented it decades ago.
Okay, so the numerology is a trick of our 10 fingers. The vortex is a map of our language, not the territory. But, and this is a big but, you said earlier that 3, 6, and 9 do appear in real science.
They absolutely do.
So let's pivot. If the mystical version is a bust, what is the reality? Let's start with the number 3. Let's redeem Tesla's obsession.
Right. Just because the numerology is a language artifact doesn't mean the number 3 isn't incredibly important. In fact, Tesla's obsession with 3 wasn't just OCD, it was also engineering genius.
This is the three-phase power stuff, right?
Exactly. Tesla's greatest gift to the world was the AC induction motor. To make that motor spin smoothly, he needed a rotating magnetic field. He had to figure out how to push the motor around a circle consistently.
Okay, imagine a merry-go-round.
Perfect analogy. If you stand in one spot and push the merry-go-round every time it passes you, that's single-phase power. It works, but it's jerky. Push, wait, push, wait.
You get this pulsing motion.
Yeah, a bit wobbly. So you add a second person on the opposite side. Two-phase power. Better. But there are still dead spots where nobody is pushing at maximum leverage.
So you add a third person.
You space them out equally. The circle is 360 degrees. Divide that by 3, and you get 120 degrees. So you put 3 people, or in this case, 3 electrical phases around the merry-go-round, spaced 120 degrees apart. Now, as one phase's push is fading, the next phase is just starting its push. The force becomes constant.
A perfect, continuous wave of power.
Exactly. It's smooth, efficient rotation.
Why not 4? Or 5? Wouldn't that be even smoother?
You could use 4, or 6, or 12. But 4 requires more wire, more infrastructure. It's more expensive to build the towers and run the lines. 3 is the mathematical minimum you need for that smooth, constant rotation. It is the Goldilocks number. Not too little, not too much.
So when I look at high-tension power lines driving across the country and I see those 3 thick cables...
That's Tesla's 3. It's not magic, it's geometry and economics. It's the minimum number of phases you need for smooth, constant power delivery. It's just elegant, efficient engineering.
So in that sense, 3 is driving the modern world.
Absolutely. Without the number 3, the grid as we know it collapses.
Okay, that's engineering. That's incredible. What about biology? I've heard people say our DNA is based on the number 3. Is that true?
This is where the pattern seeker gets a massive win. Our genetic code is literally written in 3s. And the reason why is a fascinating math problem that evolution had to solve.
Let's get into it.
So DNA is a long instruction manual, but it only has an alphabet of 4 letters, the 4 chemical bases: adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. A, C, G, T.
Okay, 4 letters, a tiny alphabet.
A tiny alphabet. Now, your body needs to build proteins, and proteins are made of amino acids. There are 20 different amino acids that humans use. Think of them like the Lego bricks of life.
So we have 4 letters to code for 20 different bricks. That seems like a problem.
It is. That's the problem evolution faced. If the cell read the DNA letters one at a time, you only have 4 options. A, C, G, T. That's only 4 bricks. You can't build a human with that.
Okay, obviously not. So read them 2 at a time.
Okay. If you read them in pairs A, C, A, G, T, T, etc., the math is 4 times 4. That gives you 16 possible combinations.
Still not. We need 20.
Exactly. You'd be missing 4 amino acids. You'd have a broken language.
Yeah.
So evolution jumped to the next level, groups of 3.
Which would be 4 times 4 times 4.
Which is 64.
Whoa. That's way more than 20. Isn't that wasteful?
You'd think so, but this is the brilliant part. It's called redundancy. Since we have 64 words, called codons, but only need 20 meanings, multiple words can mean the same thing. For example, the codes GGU, GGC, GGA, and GGG all tell the cell to grab the amino acid glycine.
Why is that a good thing? It seems inefficient.
It's an insurance policy against death. It's brilliant. Imagine UV radiation from the sun hits your DNA and mutates that last letter. It changes GGU to GGC. Because of the redundancy of the number 3, the cell still makes glycine. The protein isn't broken. You don't get a disease. You don't get cancer. It's a built-in error correction system.
So the number 3 isn't just a random choice. It provides the safety buffer that allows life to exist without falling apart constantly from tiny mistakes.
Precisely. If we use groups of 2, life would be too fragile. If we use groups of 4, we'd have 256 combinations, which is biologically expensive and wasteful. 3 is the perfect sweet spot, optimization.
That is incredibly cool. It's not mystical vibrations, but it is mathematical optimization. Evolution found the math that works.
Nature is the ultimate efficient engineer.
Speaking of efficiency, let's talk about the number 6, because when I think of patterns in nature, I immediately think of the honeycomb.
The hexagon.
Yeah.
The six-sided shape. This is probably the most ubiquitous geometric pattern in the natural world.
And usually the New Age crowd points to this as sacred geometry, the flower of life, that kind of thing.
The flower of life is a beautiful symbol. It's 19 overlapping circles that form a hexagonal pattern. It's found in ancient Egypt, China, India. It's art.
Yeah.
But the reason the number 6 dominates in nature isn't because of ancient spirits. It's because of something called the honeycomb conjecture.
The honeycomb conjecture, that sounds like a Sherlock Holmes novel.
It does, but it's actually a mathematical problem that dates back to ancient Rome, though it wasn't strictly proven until 1999 by a mathematician named Thomas Hales.
Wow, that recently.
Yes. The question is, what is the absolute best way to divide a surface into regions of equal area with the least amount of perimeter?
In other words, how do bees get the most honey storage for the least amount of wax?
Precisely. We have to remember, wax is expensive for a bee. They have to consume about 8 ounces of honey just to produce 1 ounce of wax. It's high energy work, so they cannot afford to waste building materials.
So they have options. They could build circles, right? A circle is very efficient.
A single circle has the best area to perimeter ratio, yes. But if you try to pack circles together, you get gaps in between. That's wasted space.
Okay, so circles are out. What about squares? They fit together perfectly.
Squares tile perfectly, no gaps. But a square doesn't have a great area perimeter ratio. You use a lot of wall for the amount of storage you get. Same with triangles.
So the hexagon is the just right.
It is the mathematical champion. It approaches the efficiency of a circle, but it tiles perfectly with no gaps. It provides maximum storage area with minimum wall material.
So the bees aren't doing numerology. They're doing economics and physics.
They're maximizing ROI. They're solving a tiling problem. And we see the six-fold symmetry elsewhere for similar reasons. Look at graphene.
The miracle material?
Right, single-layer carbon. It's the strongest material known to man. Why? Because the carbon atoms arrange themselves in a perfect hexagonal lattice. This distributes force across the bonds perfectly, or snowflakes. Water molecules freeze into a hexagonal crystal lattice because of the bond angles of hydrogen and oxygen.
So 6 appears because it is the number of structure, the number of strength.
Strength and packing efficiency. It's the universe saying, I want to build something stable and light, and I don't want to waste energy doing it.
Okay, so 3 is the code of life and power. 6 is the structure and efficiency. Now we have to tackle the big one, the 9.
The boss.
The 9, in vortex math, 9 is the king. It's the singularity. And everyone points to the circle 360 degrees. 3 plus 6 plus 0 equals 9.
And half a circle is 180. 1 plus 8 plus 0 is 9. A right angle is 90. 9 plus 0 is 9.
It's everywhere. You can't escape the 9 in geometry. Surely that means something. Surely that isn't just a coincidence.
It means we are still living in the shadow of the ancient Babylonians.
The Babylonians, what do they have to do with this?
Everything. This is pure history. Why is a circle 360 degrees? Why isn't it 100 degrees? Or 1,000?
I honestly don't know. I just accepted it. I assumed it was a law of physics.
It's not. It's an arbitrary choice made by humans about 4,000 years ago. The Babylonians used a base 60 counting system. They didn't count in tens like us. They counted in 60s.
Why 60? That seems hugely complicated.
Actually, it's super convenient for trade. 60 is a highly composite number. You can divide 60 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, and 30 with no remainder.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If you are a merchant dividing up grain or land, 60 is a dream number. You avoid fractions. It makes commerce easy.
Okay, so they like 60. How does that get us to 360?
Well, 6 times 60 is 360.
Mm-hmm.
They probably also chose 360 because it's very close to the number of days in a year, which they calculated as around 365. It tracks the sun's path through the sky, roughly 1 degree per day, so they standardized the circle as 360 steps.
So if they had chosen a different number system.
Imagine if the French Revolution had fully succeeded with the metric system. They actually proposed a gradient system where a circle was 400 grads. A right angle was 100 grav.
Okay, let's do the math on that. A right angle is 100. 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1.
The magic 9 disappears instantly. If we use the metric circle, there is no vortex math pattern in geometry.
Wow. So the mystery of the 9 in geometry is basically just a historical hangover, an echo of Babylonian commerce.
It is a history lesson, not a physics lesson. It shows how arbitrary human systems can look like cosmic laws if you forget the history. The universe doesn't know what a degree is. That's a human word.
That really bursts the bubble, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
It makes so much sense. We define the ruler, so we define the measurements.
Correct. But don't lose heart. We still have more to uncover. Let's get into another can of worms.
Well, let's talk about one mystery that people are very passionate about. Frequency. We cannot do a 369 episode without talking about 432 hertz versus 440 hertz.
Frequency wars. I get emails about this constantly.
Right. So the internet tells me that 440 hertz, which is the standard tuning for music, the note A is evil. It causes anxiety. It suppresses our consciousness.
The unnatural frequency.
And that 432 hertz is the healing frequency of the universe. And guess what? 4 plus 3 plus 2 equals 9.
There it is again, the 9. Always the 9.
There is even a theory that the Nazis invented 440 hertz to control the masses. Is there any truth to this?
Let's start with the Nazis. No, that is a complete myth. The push to standardize pitch happened long before the Nazis were in power, and the final decision wasn't even made by them.
Okay, so where did it come from? Why did we need to standardize it at all?
Because of what we call the inflation of pitch. In the 18th and 19th centuries, orchestras kept tuning their instruments higher and higher. A higher pitch sounds brighter and more brilliant. It cuts through the air better. So every conductor wanted their orchestra to sound the brightest.
It was a loudness war, but for pitch.
Exactly. But this was a nightmare for opera singers. Imagine being a soprano and having to hit a high C, but the orchestra in London is tuned so high that the C is essentially a C sharp. You're going to blow out your vocal cords.
So the singers revolted.
Pretty much. In 1939, there was an international conference in London, not Berlin, London. They gathered physicists, musicians, and broadcasters. They recommended 440 hertz as a compromise because it was technically easy to reproduce electronically for radio broadcasting. It was a technical standard, like USB-C. It wasn't about mind control.
Okay, so no Nazis. But what about the feeling? People swear that 432 hertz music feels calmer, warmer. Is that just a placebo?
It's partly physics and partly psychology. But it's not magic. 432 hertz is lower than 440 hertz. It's only about 8 hertz different, but our ears are sensitive. Lower pitches generally sound mellower or warmer to the human ear. It's physically a longer wavelength.
So it's not that it vibrates with the cosmos.
It's just lower. If you tune a guitar down, the strings are slightly looser, the tone changes. It's a real physical difference. But the interpretation of that difference as cosmic versus unnatural is the story we tell ourselves.
And the study. I saw there was actual research on this.
Yes, Dr. Maria Carbasi published a study in 2019. This is one of the few times scientists actually tested the meme. They played music at both frequencies to subjects and measured their vital signs, heart rate, blood pressure, anxiety levels.
The big reveal.
No significant physiological difference. The body didn't care. Now, some people preferred the 432 hertz subjectively, but that's taste. It's like preferring vanilla over chocolate. Doesn't mean vanilla is holy and chocolate is evil.
I think people just want music to be more than entertainment. They want it to be medicine.
And music is medicine.
Yeah.
But it's the melody, the harmony, the rhythm, and the emotional connection that heals you, not the specific number of times the air vibrates per second.
That's a good distinction. It's the art, not the arithmetic.
Right.
Let's move to another area where people see these numbers. Nature's growth. We have to talk about the golden ratio and Fibonacci.
Ah, the classic spiral. The nautilus shell.
Right, the sequence. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Each number is the sum of the previous two. And yes, 3 appears early on. But people claim this sequence is the ultimate proof of the 369 magic.
Well, let's check the math. If you take the digital roots of the Fibonacci sequence, that process of adding digits until you get a single number, it does create a pattern.
It does, so there is something there.
Yes, it creates a pattern that repeats every 24 numbers. But here's the kicker. 3, 6, and 9 are not special in that sequence. They appear, but so do 1, 8, and the others. There is no exclusive 3, 6, 9 flux field in Fibonacci. They're just part of the crowd.
So why do we link them? Why do people post pictures of the Parthenon with spirals drawn all over it?
Because of the Texas sharpshooter fallacy.
I love the name of this fallacy. Explain it.
Imagine a cowboy shooting his gun at a blank barn wall. Bang, 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 the holes are random. Then he walks up to the wall, finds the tightest cluster of holes, and draws a target around them.
And claims he's a sharpshooter.
He paints the bullseye after he shoots. Exactly. People look at the Great Pyramid or the Parthenon. They take thousands of measurements: height, width, diagonal, stone count. They ignore the 99% of numbers that don't fit their theory, and they highlight the 1 or 2 that come close to 3, 6, or 9, or the golden ratio.
Look, the height divided by the base is 0.636, which reduces to 6. Proof.
Right, but if you measured it in inches instead of meters or cubits instead of feet, the numbers change completely. The pyramid doesn't care about our units of measurement. It's retrospective data mining.
This brings us to the psychology of it all. Why are we so desperate to find these patterns? Why is the rule of 3 such a big thing in our brains? Stop, drop, and roll. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
That is called apophenia. It is the human tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things.
Apophenia? Is it a bug in our software? A glitch in the human brain?
No, it's a feature. It's a survival mechanism. Think about our ancestors on the savannah. You hear a twig snap in the grass.
Okay.
You have 2 choices. Choice A, you assume it's a lion and you run. If it was just the wind, you made a type 1 error, a false positive. You feel silly for a minute, but you were alive.
Right. Better safe than sorry.
Choice B, you assume it's just the wind. If it is a lion, you made a type 2 error, a false negative, you were dead.
So we are the descendants of the paranoid people, the ones who jumped at every shadow.
Exactly. We are the children of the people who saw patterns everywhere. We are hardwired to see faces in clouds and codes and numbers because being oversensitive to patterns kept us alive. It's better to find a meaningless pattern than to miss a meaningful one.
So when we see 3s in nature, part of it is real physics, like the stability of a triangle, but part of it is just our brains being really good at its evolutionary job.
Yes. And the number 3 is cognitively comfortable. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's the minimum number required to establish a pattern. 1 is an incident, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern.
That explains so much about storytelling and jokes. Setup, punchline. It's always 3.
It's baked into our cognition.
So we've debunked the quote, the vortex math, the history of circles, and the frequencies, but I have to ask about the practical application. Because right now there is someone listening to this who uses the 369 manifestation method.
The TikTok trend.
Yes. You write down what you want 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night. And people swear it works. They get the job, they get the text back. If the math is fake, why does the method work?
This is where we shift from physics to psychology. And the answer is, it does work, but not because 369 is a magic phone number to the universe. It works because of priming and focus.
Explain that. What's priming?
There is a concept in psychology called the reticular activating system, or RAS, the filter in your brain. When you write something down 3 times in the morning, you are setting an intention. You are telling your brain, this is important. Pay attention to this today.
Like when you buy a red car, and suddenly you see red cars everywhere. They were always there, but you didn't notice them.
Exactly. That's your RAS at work. By focusing on your goal 3 times, then 6 times, then 9 times, you're forcing your brain to look for opportunities related to that goal all day long. You might notice a job opening you would have scrolled past. You might act more confident in a meeting because you reminded yourself of your goal.
So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy driven by your own attention.
It's behavioral discipline. The numbers 3, 6, and 9 are arbitrary. You can do it 4, 8, and 12 times. The result would likely be the same, but 3, 6, 9 gives it a ritualistic feel, which helps people stick to it.
It feels like magic, so we do it, but really we're just hacking our own focus.
Which, in a way, is a kind of magic. It's the magic of the human mind taking control of its own attention span.
I like that. We don't need the universe to conspire for us. We just need to get our own brains on board.
Precisely.
So we are coming to the end of our deep dive, and I feel like we've stripped away a lot of the glitter. Tesla didn't say the quote, the numbers aren't a secret code, but I still feel a sense of wonder.
And you should. That's the verdict here.
Yeah.
The wee-woo might be false, but the wonder is real.
Recap it for us. What should we take away from all this?
Take away the number 3. It's real. It is the stability of the triangle, the engineering of the power grid that lights your home, and the triplet code of your own DNA that keeps you alive. That is real, tangible wonder.
And the number 6.
It's the master of efficiency. The hexagon and the honeycomb, the snowflake, the strongest carbon bonds. It shows us how nature builds with economy and strength. It's a lesson in optimization.
And the 9, the big boss.
The 9 is a beautiful reminder of our history. It reminds us that we created math to describe the world, and sometimes the fingerprint of the author SS, humanity, is left on the page.
It's funny, the truth, molecular efficiency, evolutionary coding, electrical engineering is actually harder to understand than its magic, but it's so much more rewarding.
Carl Sagan is my go-to for this sentiment. He said, "Science is not only compatible with spirituality, it is a profound source of spirituality." When you understand that your DNA uses a triplet code, not because of a spell, but because it evolved over billions of years to be the perfect mathematical solution that connects you to the universe far more than a mean does.
I love that. The universe is written in mathematics, just not the simple kind you find on Instagram.
Keep seeking patterns, please, and keep looking, but always bring your calculator and your history books. Check the math.
And verify your sources.
And verify your sources.
So, to the listener, keep scratching the surface. The world is stranger and more beautiful than you think. But maybe, just maybe, you don't need to wipe your silverware 18 times to appreciate it.
I think that's good advice.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.